Mercedes-AMG Interview Lounge.
So I'm sitting there minding my own business last night, and I get a text from Charlemagne the God. And he calls me Godfather. He says, "Hey, Godfather, if you don't have my friend Michael on your show tomorrow, then you're stupid." So I'm like, okay, I'll do as you say. Because if Charlemagne says it, I usually do it. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is here. And when I announced that you were going to be here today, Michael, it really, you could feel the simmer come to a boil in a good way.
Thank you.
Speaking of police violence on CBS this weekend, he said, and it's a moment of grief, of profound national reckoning for Black people in particular, but for all conscientious Americans, I hope. Mm-hmm. He is known as the paid pest, which I love. And you actually used a quote, Michael, that I love from Gore Vidal. It says, "We live in the United States of amnesia." Yes, when it comes to American history, we totally forget about what's happened. Please welcome to our show, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. We'll call you Michael. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
What do we do? What do we do?
Well, taking off from that quote, and in my book, Tears We Cannot Stop, A Sermon to White America, I talk about that quote from Gore Vidal, because we do live in the United States of amnesia, which means we're addicted to forgetfulness. We'd rather forget it. I think the theme song is provided by Barbra Streisand. I know you young folk don't know who Barbara is, but you're stuck on Taylor Swift. I ain't mad. Or Adele. I get it. But she said, "What's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget." So a lot of us would rather sweep it under the carpet, pretend it doesn't exist, and then move forward. So we got to reject our citizenship in the United States of amnesia and claim citizenship in the kingdom of memory, which means that we got to remember where we came from. America is strange. On the one hand, you can't get enough of books on Abraham Lincoln or George Washington or the founding fathers or the founding mothers and brothers. But when it comes to talking about issues of race or gender or sexuality, hey, can't you folk get over it? So we got to have a little bit more balance there. I mean, look at what Lin-Manuel Miranda did, right, with Hamilton. You can make it sexy. You can make it appealing. It doesn't have to be dry, old, dusty history. But that history is critical. And if we don't know where we've come from, we don't know where we're going. Or as Santayana said, if you don't know what your history is, you're bound to repeat it. And we're doing the same thing now. People look at folk who are spilling over in the streets. Oh my God, don't those people see that they're destroying their communities? What communities? Many of them are living in places and spaces where they got food deserts. The grocery stores are not owned by them. The shops are not owned by them. They don't even own their own bodies. If you can be on the streets of Minnesota where a police person puts his knee into your neck and you are crying for everything holy, you even call on your mama because it is so devastating, and that police person still doesn't hear you, you know we are in trouble as a nation. So we've got to own up to our racial past. We've got to own up to the persistence of white supremacy, social injustice, economic inequality to make this nation what it is meant to be. Even the creed is what? E pluribus unum. That's a Latin phrase. Out of many, one. That goes right up there with fascism my nizzle from Snoop Dogg. Those are great credos by which we live. So the point is that you got to figure out a way to get past the blockade of bigotry and the obstacles of resistance to embracing all brothers and sisters as our fellow citizens.
Now, here I am, a bloated white guy with a show that's very successful. We do well. And we thought we would come in here every day and offer a getaway for people who want to turn off political talk and negative talk and too much music. And we come on the air and we have fun. We tell fart jokes and whatever.
Right.
But in doing so, we also gave people a way to get away from the important issues. And this is how I had my ass slapped this weekend on Instagram. They're saying, Elvis, you got to use your platform. I'm like, I want to use my platform. We have over 10 million people a week listening.
Right.
And I walked in this morning with notes. I was ready to go. I would have made you proud with all this stuff I wrote. I'll give it to you. You write a book with it. And I'm tired of talking. I want to listen. I want people to learn. And from the white man's perspective, we want to do better. We want to do the right things, but it's okay for us to ask for help, right?
Absolutely. Look, there's no question about it. And I understand, I teach at Georgetown and I got young Black students who say, look, we're tired, we're fatigued. We're not here to teach other white students what to do and how to be. And so I was with them one day in class, and most of my classes, of course, are white folk. And I said, yeah, I know what you mean. Man, I'm tired of having this. I said, oh, no, wait a minute. That's my job. Oh, I forgot. No, I'm the professor. Yeah, it is my job to teach. Okay. Oh, white kids want to know? Oh, yeah, I get paid to tell you what it is. So the reality is that, yes, you know, Malcolm X in that famous scene, and I'm sure you've seen the monumental epic film by Spike Lee, when the young white woman comes up to him and says, what can I do? She followed him to New York. She heard him in Boston. Oh, my God, he blew her mind. She wants to figure out the right thing to do. And she said, what can I do? And he said, nothing. And it was devastating. Now, he grew to regret that. But I believe that if folk really want to know, we got to share with them. That's why I wrote the book, Tears We Cannot Stop, a sermon to white America, because I believe we got to talk about tough issues. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. Like you said, when you're used to having a certain position, when you hear buzzwords like white privilege, no, I'm not. I don't have white privilege. I'm just as poor. I struggle every day. I get up and go to work. My God, Jiminy Cricket, what are you talking about? Well, this is what we mean. Even if you're not rich, if you live in an American society that won't judge you automatically because of the color of your skin, if you meet a police person on the street and you live to tell about it, that's a form of privilege that even a guy like me with a PhD from Princeton, who's been accosted by the police more times than I can tell you, who's been called bad words by the cops more than I can tell you, is subject to. I studied too. I did the right thing too. I worked hard too. I went to school too. I got a PhD too. I'm an ordained Baptist minister for 41 years too. It doesn't make a difference. Some people judge me regardless of what I have attained. So we've got to talk about this honestly in America. And many white brothers and sisters are not taught to think about themselves as a race. When many white people hear race, they go, oh, black or brown or Asian. No, white folk have a race too. It's like men when we hear gender. Oh, we must be talking about women. No, fool, you got a gender too. And obviously a lot of times it's toxic masculinity. Men don't think about it. We have gender too. So when many white brothers and sisters hear race, they run away. Oh my God, it's going to be a finger pointing. No, in my classes, I say, we got to come to grips with what this nation has been. We have to be open. We have to be honest. And if we want to learn anything, it's going to be difficult. You can't learn algebra or calculus without going through some tough times. And so if we're going to learn about race in America, we have to be informed. A lot of people pop off at the mouth and have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know what affirmative action is when it began. They don't know what the civil rights struggle has been. They quote Martin Luther King Jr., but they haven't read all of his books. They don't understand what his deeper significance is. So we've got to bone up on the most serious issues of racial difference in America to make sure that white brothers and sisters and others who live together must understand what it means. I can imagine, look, I was at Princeton once, a British white man who was the master of the college. They have 5 divisions at Princeton of undergraduate living, and they call them masters. I was an assistant master. You know I was getting off on that. Yeah, the assistant master. So assistant master Mike Dyson, baby. I done made it, mama. We're moving on up to the east side. So the thing is that one day I'm with the master, the white guy, very smart British physicist who taught at Princeton, and the police stop him. And he's giving them the what for, mother blank, 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 gone. And I'm ducking. Oh my God, they're going to kill this man. And then I said, no, they're not, because he's got the right skin for protection in this situation. Or about 2 years ago, I'm here in Washington, D.C. at Ben's Chili Bowl out at 4:30 in the morning. I do sociological research for Bacchanalia at clubs. So here I was out one night at 4:30. And this young white kid is cussing the police out. You son of a blank, 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 and going on. And I said, oh my God, they're going to hurt this kid. And then the policeman picks up the phone, calls a cab, and says, son, you need to go home. That's what we're talking about. We're just asking for common courtesy and decency that you extend to anybody. That if you put your foot on somebody's neck and you're a police person and they say, I can't breathe, you take it off. Why didn't he take it off? A, he thought he could get away with it. B, because he did not see this as a fellow human being. The dehumanizing impulse that we have often embraced in this country for somebody who's different. And it's being amplified, let's tell the truth, in Washington, D.C. by a guy who has no idea about what he's doing with his rhetoric. And when he does have an idea about what he's doing, he's stirring it up. That's not your job as president. You're supposed to bring us together. You're supposed to make us understand what we have in common, not trying to beat up on people. When there's looting, there's shooting. That's a white racist stuff from 1967 in Miami that he is reviving for now. So my point is that when we tell the truth, when we're honest with each other, when white brothers and sisters genuinely want to know what to do and are willing to listen to all of us as we share our experiences and our understanding of the problem and situation. And by the way, there are many white people who have written brilliantly and insightfully about these issues. Then we will have the possibility of a better country.
But if you're just turning us on, well, you missed a lot already. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is here. And even though he has his latest book is out called Can You Hear Me Now? The Inspiration, Wisdom, and Insight of Michael Eric Dyson. There's a book he's referring to over and over called Tears We Cannot Stop.
Yes.
Which is basically coming from a very, very, very fun professor who happens to be black, or he's a black man who happens to be a professor. Which one would you rather be?
I'm a brother first. I came here as a brother. I can't.
Okay,
I'll
take
it all, bro. I'll take it all. Y'all take it all. Look, I came here as a brother. That's what I was first, but then I became a professor. And even when I was a kid in Detroit, in the hood, they say, that's a smart little boy. He gonna be a professor. They were prophetic. And here I am. I wish they'd have said he's gonna be a millionaire.
Hey, you know what? Even though the question may not be in the same, seems like it's in the same lane where we're going, it does sort of answer some questions. Tell everyone, Michael, what you do for a living. I think how you tell us what you do for a living really makes a lot of sense here.
Yes, sir. Well, look, as I said, I've been a minister now for 41 years. I'm a college professor. I didn't start college until I was 21. I was a teen father, right? I got a big scholarship out to a nice suburban white school. I'd never gone to school with white folk ever in my life. And here I am in school with Steven Spielberg's brother and one of the top 10 richest men in America. And in the class and stuff, I'm like, man, it just was mind blowing. Got kicked out of that school, went back and graduated from night school. I don't even know if they have that now. Got my GED diploma. And then, got a woman pregnant and married her. I ain't saying it was a shotgun wedding, but a revolver was in the room. And then, got married, got divorced, 21 years old. I got a son. I got to do something better. I got to provide him a better life. So I went to Knoxville College, a historically black college down in Knoxville, Tennessee, studied there, transferred to a Southern Baptist school, a white school called Carson Newman, got a bachelor's degree, then went on to Princeton to get a master's and PhD in religion, philosophy, and ethics. And I've been teaching ever since at Hartford Seminary in 88, Chicago Theological Seminary in 89, 92. I went to Brown and taught for 2 years, then the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill for 3. Then I went to Columbia University for 2 years, to DePaul for 3, then University of Pennsylvania for 5, and now I've been at Georgetown for 13 years. So I've been trying to raise the consciousness, spark the interest of young people. And I teach a lot of hip hop music. I teach a class on Jay-Z. And I talk to them. They say, who is this old man coming in here? I said, when the rim is in the system, ain't no telling. Will I love him? Will I diss him? That's what they be yelling. I'm a by blood, not relation. Y'all still chase something? Yeah, I got lyrics. I can drop serious lyrics. But can you get on my side? Can you understand what I'm talking about? So I've been trying to bridge the gulf between older and younger, between white and black and brown and red and yellow in this country, trying to forge connections, make people think, make them uncomfortable. I make young white people uncomfortable because I'm trying to challenge some of the beliefs that they have inherited. I make young people of color uncomfortable sometimes because I'm trying to challenge cancel culture. I'm trying to make us think seriously and over the long haul about who we are as America. And so when they're writing my classes up, they say, boy, it's a lot of smart stuff going on, but why is he talking about Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce and not talking about James Joyce? I can talk about James Joyce too. I can talk about Gray's Elegant Courtyard, full many a gem of purest rays serene, the dark unfathomed caves of ocean bare, full many of flowers born to blush unseen and waste the sweetness on the desert air. Then I can talk about Snoop falling back on that act with the hellified gangster link, getting funky on a mic like an old batch of collard greens. That's what we do.
Michael, you know what? Gandhi has a question for you, but before you go to her very important question, you say you love making people uncomfortable. I don't be mad when I tell you this. You're making me very comfortable today, and I just gotta say it.
Oh my
Gandhi,
God, I gotta go.
Thank God. Yeah, you know what? You're obviously you're kind of failing today. Obviously, hey, having you here is awesome. Gandhi, go right ahead.
Okay, so obviously processing all of this, everybody's at a different place in their processing of it. So for the people who are saying, yes, I understand this, I see that there's racism and there needs to be a change, what's the next step from here? After you understand it and you accept it, what do you do then to take action?
That's a great question. You got to put it into action. You got to challenge yourself. At the end of my book, and I hate to be self-promoting here, but at the end of Tears We Cannot Stop, I have an entire chapter of stuff that white brothers and sisters can do. You know, attend protests. We see that's going on now, but okay, just don't be messing up stuff for the black people who are left behind, and then we go to jail.
Exactly.
And then you said
Yes.
I was down there with the black people. Let's be a little bit more balanced there.
Right.
I talk about reading. I talk about being self-critical. I talk about individual reparations accounts, IRAs. You ain't got to wait for the government to tell you as white people who have of means to do something. And I get so many letters from white people saying, man, I read that chapter and now I bought 20 computers for black kids in the local school who don't have it, right? You can be creative about how to address it. The government cannot and will not do everything. We need systematic and social and structural change, but the everyday thing that people can do, change your mind, change your heart, change your outlook, challenge yourself, go to a black church. If you just go to white churches and be uncomfortable, imagine how black people feel when they go to white spaces all the time. Go somewhere where you are not the majority and understand what that means. Get a visceral sense of what it means to be the other, and then understand as Americans what we are doing to try to bridge those gaps and come together. So now that you know it, you got to show it, you got to embody it, and you got to change your mind. And when you change your mind, you change your practice. As the great Clinton, not Bill, but George Clinton said, free your mind and your behind will follow.
There you go. By the way, Michael, I know you've got a very busy schedule today because this is your Super Bowl, man, because you are so needed and so welcome. Before you leave, though, what do you tell people who are white, kids, what it's like to be black from your perspective?
Right. I tell them that if you imagine doing everything you're supposed to do, working as hard as you can, and it still makes no difference, that no matter who you are, that some people refuse to acknowledge your humanity. And you got to work extra hard just to get the ordinary stuff. Should the killers of Ahmaud Arbery down in Georgia run free for a month before they're even taken into to jail and to custody?
No.
Of course not. But so often black people are made to be grateful for things that should be a floor, and we treat them like a ceiling. This is the mountaintop. You've arrived. We arrested the person who murdered you. You should do that, right? We don't call the police on me when I go to Starbucks. People follow me around and saying, he can't afford that. Okay, that part may be true, but you don't know that. You don't know that I can afford it or not. I painted my green card American Express black last night. God darn it, I got a black card right now. So the point is that we've got to be able to do that. CNN is calling me now, so they're trying to get me on. But look, have me back on. I want to hang out with y'all.
Michael, thank you so much. Have the best day ever. We'll remind everyone who you are and everything as you head over to CNN. Wait, don't tell them where you're going. They're going to leave us and go to CNN. Don't do that.
No,
you're taking
right
my
here. This is the man. All right.
Michael, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day today, okay? Take care. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. That's Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. He has many books and, of course, many resources from him online. And by the way, he was in our Zoom room. We recorded it, and we will be posting that as well. Thank you so much for listening today. It's a very special, special day.